And that's what I believe is one of the components of the law of attraction. If you're taking so much action, you're blocking your manifestations because you're not allowing yourself to receive them. You're not sitting back and getting whatever it is that you manifested.
So find a way to
Hello, beautiful fellow lightworkers. Welcome back to my channel. And today's video is titled, There's a Time for Giving and a Time for Receiving in the Law of Attraction. I hope all you guys are doing good. I'm doing really good now. I know I've been gone for quite a while, but it feels so good to be back making videos. During the time I was kind of MIA these last few weeks, I had a lot going on, mostly to do with traveling. I'm trying to get to a destination. Our next destination is Yellowstone, but we're breaking it up in chunks and spending a few days to a week in certain places. And also what happened was our truck was having some mechanical issues that we're trying to figure out, which all turned out to be a good thing because I got to spend some time with friends and family that I haven't seen in years. And that is actually what has inspired the topic of this video, because I want to share the lessons that I have learned recently about myself and about the law of attraction and about the principle of giving and receiving. So I want to say like a year or maybe a couple of years ago, I had done my first and only collaboration with another YouTuber on this channel, and that was with Riss from All My Ancestors. If you haven't seen that video, I will link it up above in case you want to check it out before or after this video. So Riss is such a beautiful soul, one of the most beautiful souls I've ever met. And she taught me something about law of attraction, even though that's not really her specialty. I think hers is more in astrology, but it all is interrelated. And she told me something that stuck with me, and it was that with the law of attraction, there's a such thing as taking like too much action. So as if you've watched my videos, you probably heard me say a lot that we either might think about something that we want and maybe write it down and ask for it, and then we tune our emotions to a high vibrational feeling of whatever it is that we want, that we're thinking about, and then we take action on it. You can also take action on it first and kind of do it in reverse, and then feel a certain way about it, and then think certain thoughts, or however, whatever order it may come in. And action is a very critical component of the law of attraction, even though I think it's kind of intimidating for a lot of people, including myself, because it might seem like we have to know all the answers now and that we have to be doing something right now. But action can be something as small as writing it down, getting it out of your head and onto a piece of paper as a physical act, or it could be doing something every day or doing something often that you want to build, like a business or maybe a YouTube channel like this one. And you can also take what I like to call inspired action. That's when you are in the flow of synchronicity and you have attracted or found, or people found you that can help you with whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, whether it be advice or physical help that they can offer, or money, whatever it is. And also the opportunities that come to you that you feel like you want to take inspired action on. Say, for example, you're trying to manifest a certain job and you have a recruiter reach out to you about a certain position, and if it sounds like what you've been wanting, then taking the action of actually going and interviewing and asking questions about the job. So on the opposite end of action, which is the giving part or the doing part, is the receiving part, or also the time for rest. It's kind of like I think of farmers, even though I don't know much about gardening or being a farmer in general, how the process goes, but I do know that farmers will plant, certain things, certain like fruits or vegetables, and there's a time for action where they're sowing the seeds in the ground and watering them and giving them plant food or whatever it is that they need, make sure they're in the right spot for sun, and that takes a lot of action. But then there is a time for receiving and for rest during the time that the crops are growing. And I think nowadays most people have watering systems, but they continue to water their crops, but they don't have to take as much action as when initially digging and planting and getting them ready. And I'm pretty sure that farmers don't go out every single day and are freaked out and wondering, like, is this going to grow or not? Is this going to grow? Is anything going to happen? They know that everything comes in seasons and that there's a process, and they have patience, and it takes time for things to grow. Because a lot of times with the law of attraction, it's like we're constantly digging up our seed and going, has it sprouted yet? Is anything happening? We get very impatient and we want it now, and if it doesn't happen now, then we think it's never going to happen, instead of trusting in ourselves and trusting the universe that we're putting out the right energy, we're doing the right things and on our path, and that we will manifest whatever it is we want in perfect divine timing. So there is this balance that I realized that I didn't have, the balance between giving and receiving, action and rest. I was and still am in some ways very unbalanced, where I lean more towards doing a ton of action on things I want to manifest or just things in general. And I'm very unbalanced with rest and receiving, which I found out I have been very uncomfortable doing, and I'll explain that in a little bit. So the flow of the universe is things being in harmonic balance. There is duality. So giving and receiving are two dualistic, I guess, actions or terms. And it's also can be seen with money. Money is called currency because there's supposed to be a flow. You give money for things and then you receive money for doing certain things. That's just how it is. Give and receive. And there are people like me who give too much at times and do too much. And then there's people on the opposite spectrum who want handouts or who want to receive and who just want favors but don't necessarily want to take much action to do those things. And it's difficult to say that you can ever perfectly be in balance, because there are times where you're going to need more help from people and you need to receive more help, and there's going to be times that you're going to give more help than maybe you're getting at that moment. But overall, it's what you feel to be right for you for giving and receiving. So by taking too much action, by not really receiving or resting, then we're pretty much sending the signal out that we don't trust the universe to help us manifest what we want, that we don't trust that universal energy, and that we just have to do everything on our own all the time, which can be very stressful and be very draining. And I think also on the other end of that, if we don't take any action, then we're kind of telling the universe that we're not going to meet it halfway, that we expect something outside of us to do all the work, and that we don't really trust ourselves to help create whatever it is that we want to create and manifest. So because the universe is a mirror reflection and a yes machine to whatever we say, if we say we believe we can do something, it's going to be like, yes, you can. And if we say or believe that we can't do something, then the universe is going to mirror that back and show us a reflection of our beliefs to be true, that we can't do whatever it is that we think we can't do. By giving our energy and using it to take action to manifest something is like the dance of manifestation with the universe. So now I'm going to tell a personal story of what I recently learned and experienced that it will tie into all of this giving and receiving, and hopefully help you understand the law of attraction a little bit more. So over the years, I've noticed that I have taken a lot of action and I have given a lot of help to other people in various ways. Physically, mentally, emotionally, supportive, advice, whatever it is I can do to help anyone, really, whether it be family, friends, or stranger. That's just my personality. But what I've come to realize is I was taking too much action. I was draining myself, burning myself out, and becoming resentful of myself for not taking time to rest and for self-care, because that is also important too. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, if you don't feel rested, it's really difficult to give back to other people. We have to take that time to rest and to receive help when needed, because that puts us way out of balance if we're not. And this last week, I have felt so much unconditional love and support by friends and family all at once. And it was kind of overwhelming, but in a good way. So, what happened first was our truck, like I mentioned in the beginning, had some mechanical issues. And the issues were that our RV that we pull was the brakes were not engaging. Like the brake lights and everything worked, but the brakes would not come on or work for the RV. And I don't want to get too technical into this, but basically our truck has its own set of brakes, and then our RV also has a set of brakes. We have a fifth wheel. And when they're connected, both of them typically would have brakes. So if we're going down a steep hill or going through windy roads in the mountains, the RV brakes on its own in a way, and we can set it to the sensitivity so that it assists the truck so that we don't overwork the truck brakes so that they don't like overheat or wear down faster. So it's a very critical component to have with traveling with an RV, especially if you're going down a lot of hills or through the mountains. And if you hear that, it's snowing right now. We're in a national forest in the mountains, so we're pretty high up, and it's been snowing the last couple of days. But anyways, so that was an important component. The other thing was the cruise control wasn't working, which was really frustrating because we had just gotten it fixed a couple months ago at a mechanic shop, but it stopped working again, along with the brakes, which we figured was interrelated, but didn't know what the problem was. So on our way between Arizona and Yellowstone, where we're going to be going, we had to make a stop in Santa Fe. We figured Santa Fe would be a big enough place that we would find a mechanic to get this all done while we were there. Unfortunately, I went to a mechanic and I was there probably a total of 7 hours. I spent like 2 or 3 hours the first day while they were trying to diagnose. They couldn't figure it out, told me to come back the next morning, and they still couldn't figure it out. And I was sitting there, I think by hour 5 maybe, I just like couldn't be there anymore. I was just sitting on this chair in this little bitty office space, and I kept seeing people come and go, and I had snacks and I had my phone and everything, but you know, after a while you just get so bored of like being on your phone constantly. And also that sense of like, it's almost torture not knowing what's wrong with the truck, first of all, if they can't figure it out, if it's going to get fixed, and how much it's going to cost since we're spending so many hours there. And I felt like I was trapped in this prison. I don't know. It like mentally, I just started freaking out and I just had to get out of there. So I had called a friend that I have there in Santa Fe, and she was so gracious and she came and picked me up. And by this point I was bawling tears. Like I was just really stressed about the whole situation. I had talked to my husband on the phone and I was just crying. And then she came a short while after, and she had her mom with her and her littlest daughter, who's a year old. And I was so relieved to see them. And as soon as they pulled up, her mom got out of the car. And I don't know her mom very well. I met her years, like over 10 years ago, I think it was, when I house sat for her one time. And I don't really remember her. But I got to meet her again and hang out with her. Super, super cool, super loving and supportive mom. And she got out of the car and she just gave me the biggest hug for like a long while, because she could see I was like visibly very upset and had been crying. And I felt so much love from that hug and from her, and it was so amazing to receive love. And this is just one example how I felt that I wasn't allowing myself to fully receive help and to receive love from other people. And sorry if I get like a a little choked up as I'm talking about this, because as I talk about it, I'm like feeling it again, but in a good way. And then right after that, I got into the car and my friend was driving and she leaned over and we hugged as well. And they just listened to me vent a little while, and I just felt so grateful to have, you know, friends and people who were supportive of me and really cared about me. Her mom was like, "Are you hungry? Do you want to go somewhere to eat?" And at this point, I had not had lunch. I had like an apple while I was waiting there, but I was there from like 10:45 a.m. to, I think I got picked up after 5 or 4. I don't know. It had been a long while. And so I was so stressed I didn't feel hungry, but I was like, yeah, let's go eat since I haven't eaten. And they know that I'm vegan. So they took me to a place that had a lot of vegan options, and her mom offered to pay for all of us. And I thought that was so sweet. And at first I felt a little resistant because I feel I'm just used to paying for myself all the time or paying for other people. And I feel like if people pay for me, then I'm like in debt with them or something. And I know that's not true. That's just my own like subconscious programming from years ago. But I allowed myself, I was like, okay, I'm going to allow myself to receive this free meal and not feel guilty about it. And so that's what I consciously chose to do. And then after that, we went back to her house and we just chilled and like watched one of my all-time favorite movies. It was a comedy and just laughed so hard. And she let me do laundry there, which I thought was really sweet. I had trouble asking for things like that too, especially now with RVing. It's like we're not completely self-sufficient or as self-sufficient as being in an apartment or house. Like we have to get water and we have to get propane and we have to do laundry and stuff outside of the RV. And so I did ask for that, and she was very nice about it and very nice about coming to pick me up too. And it just felt so good to receive all of that love and, like I said, support. And later that day, still found out the truck was not fixed and they still didn't know what the problem was and wanted to take it to a dealership. And I talked to my husband, and we just didn't feel like it was the right thing to do because we had already paid them some money because they said they had fixed the cruise control, which it worked on the test run for them. But when I drove it, it did not work. So we were already feeling hesitant because about that. But luckily, we did call and explain to them that it wasn't working, and they gave us a partial refund for everything except for the parts, which we were very happy about. We ended up canceling the appointment the next day with them after getting the refund. And as we were calling other mechanics and I was trying to figure out what to do, I had just remembered that someone who I refer to as my second mom, if you're watching, hi mom, her husband was a mechanic for like a long time, and he had even fixed my previous cars in the past. But this was like years and years ago, and I just kind of forgot about it. And then I remembered, and I was like, oh, maybe they're in town and maybe they have time to help us. And so I had called her and left a message explaining the situation, and they were like, just come on by, bring the truck by. And so her husband worked on it for a few hours and did some different tests, and everything looked good. And then we went to go say goodbye to my friend after it was all done. And then it turned out that the issues came back, and they told us to come back again that day. He worked on it some more. We thought it was going to be good, but again, something was shorted and it didn't work the whole time. So they were still gracious enough to let us come back the very next day again for a third time. Third time's the charm. And he worked on it most of the day because we got there in the morning, and me and my mom just hung out. We got to catch up and talk. It had been 4 years since we seen each other, and she even taught me how to plant flowers and stuff in her garden, which was really fun for me. And we treated them to lunch and just like sat outside in her patio. She has this beautiful backyard and patio. The weather was perfect, and we're just sharing stories and laughing, and it was exactly what I needed right now. It can be very isolating on the road. We do talk to people, my husband and I, we do meet people when we're out, but it's not the same connection like with the long-term friends and family that you have. So basically, it ended up being a blessing in disguise that our truck was having issues. Luckily, we could still drive it, but that we, were in Santa Fe and got to visit with friends and family, and I just allowed myself to receive all of that unconditional love and support from my friends and family that I was around during those few days, and it felt amazing. I try to do as much as I can on my own, and not only do I want to solve all my problems and do everything, I try to do everything for everyone else and solve all of their problems, which again is very draining and it has been very difficult for me to receive in general, to receive love, to receive support, to receive help, to receive abundance, to receive money. I've had a huge problem with that I finally came to terms with when I realized that I had to kind of surrender to the universe and be like, you know what, I can't do this on my own. I need some help. And I definitely felt it. Also with my husband, he was super supportive. Like, he listened to me when I was crying, and he was like, everything's gonna work out, and he was just being super positive. And because we had planned on my friend coming over, it didn't end up working out because I was at the mechanic all day. He helped clean the house, like he swept and mopped, and he was just on it. He like did all of the chores and responsibilities I normally do when I'm home, but he was home some of that time, and he took over and took care of our dogs too. He made sure to do all of their walks by himself, and he made sure they had food and water and that they had lots of loves and cuddles, and like it was a beautiful thing. And it really helped me realize again that even if everything seems bad or dark or bleak, that everything is always working out for us. It's always going to work out, even when you can't see it at that point and it looks so terrible. I'm so grateful for everything that happened in the perfect divine way that it did happen. To wrap this up, basically what I want to say is there is a time for giving and a time for receiving. There are going to be times where we feel more energetic and more in the space of giving to others. And then there's going to be times where we need to receive help and love from others because we just can't do everything on our own. We're not meant to do everything on our own. And it can be uncomfortable. At least for me, it's very uncomfortable to receive help or even to acknowledge that I need help because I try to be this pillar of strength all the time. And I have like this hero complex where I need to do everything. And I realize how unhealthy that is because I had to go back and figure out, why do I have this complex? Why am I so resistant to receiving and so much about giving? And what I came to realize was it really stems from my abandonment issues. It stems from me, especially I use the example of when I was homeless, where people were constantly giving me help and assistance. Me and my mom, they were giving us, strangers were providing shelters for us. Some people, we even stayed in their homes. Actually, a lot of people had given us free food. People had given us money. Churches had given us help, food banks, all of that stuff. Like, at that point, I was unbalanced where I was receiving a lot of help, but I wasn't able to give much back. Then I got to the point where I was more self-sufficient and self-reliable and had enough money, even if it wasn't a lot, to take care of myself. And so I got into this position of giving too much then. I was like, okay, I think all that guilt came back from when I felt powerless because of my situation, being homeless and not having a lot of resources that I could do on my own. Like, I was a kid, so I couldn't work at the time to make enough money to, support me and my mom. So we received a lot of help. So then I started giving a lot of help back when I could, to the point where I really felt like I was taken advantage of, or I allowed myself to be taken advantage of in some ways. And then that's kind of been where I've been at for a long time. But the reason for it too is because I saw how people who helped us came to resent us, most of them, which in a way I don't blame them. I can understand where they're coming from. It is exhausting to help people who don't seem to be helping themselves. And with my abandonment issues, I feel like if I'm not constantly helping people and being of value, of service, worthy to other people in their eyes, then they're going to abandon me and I'm going to lose the people that I love. And that's a wound. That is a personal trauma wound that I am still working on healing. It's one of my biggest ones. But by not allowing myself to receive love, support, help, abundance, whatever it is, that's actually an unloving practice that I'm doing to myself. That's not self-love. And I'm just hurting myself more by trying to be a hero and do everything and drain myself and have my burnouts than just allowing myself to receive, that love and support from others when I need it. And then that helps regenerate me to where I can give more love and more help to other people. I can be more of a support system because now I have the energy. I was able to relax in a way and stop doing so much, stop taking so much action. And that's where the balance comes in. Like I said, of give and flow, take and receive. It all balances out. Again, I don't think it can ever be perfectly in balance all the time, but do what feels right to you. Do what you can. If someone asks you for a favor and you feel it's something you want to do, not out of obligation, but just out of love, then definitely do it. If it feels like something you can't do at the time, or you don't feel it, you know, you're maybe having your own struggles, then don't do it. Politely decline. And that's how you're going to know. Just go on your feeling, your intuition of when's the best time to take a lot of action and to give a lot of energy to something or someone, and when is the best time to rest, to relax, to receive, so that you can be revived before you go into the cycle of helping again. And that's what I believe is one of the components of the law of attraction. If you're taking so much action, you're blocking your manifestations because you're not allowing yourself to receive them. You're not sitting back and getting whatever it is that you manifested. At times you do have to do that. I know with me, I'll use a small example, is if I ask a question about something in my life, something that's going on, something I want to know, if I'm constantly taking action and doing things and helping other people all the time, it's more challenging for me to get the response. So like I think everyone has their own psychic abilities. Mine is kind of like the power of knowing. I forget. I think that's claircognizance. Claircognizance. I don't know what the word is, but it's one of the clairs. And if I ask a question, then I will receive the answer in some form. Typically, it'll just be like a knowing. It'll come to me, which is what I share in these videos. But if my mind is so busy doing other things and helping other people and not ever focused on myself in a more meditative, relaxed state, then I might not receive the answers, or I might receive it a little bit later on, because I believe the answers are always there. Like the answers are always inside of us, but we have to stop, rest, and receive the information, whether it be an inspired next step to take and for the next action towards our manifestation, or whatever it is. But we do have to take that time to rest and receive the manifestations, whatever they may be in whatever form. And to end this video, I want to share a quote that I shared on Instagram on a post a few days ago. And it says, "Until we can receive with an open heart, we're never really giving with an open heart. When we attach judgment to receiving help, we knowingly or unknowingly attach judgment to giving help." By Brene Brown. Okay, that's all I have for this video. I hope this helps some of you in some way. Maybe if you are kind of blocked with receiving your manifestations, hopefully this will help some. And until next time, as always, I hope to see you in the next video. Bye everyone.